After a rough first half with 4 fumbles, the West Virginia Mountaineers cruised to a 45-3 victory. We're talking about that up next on the Voice of Morgantown show. Let's go.
To Morgantown, we break it first. WVU pride, we quench your thirst. No spin, all truth, loud and proud. Mountaineer nation, say it loud. The Voice of Morgantown. VOM, Mountaineer pride, we go all in. First to the facts, last to the spin. It's the Voice of Morgantown. Let's begin.
All right, West Virginia fans. Much better second half, Bernie. 45-3 victory. Covered the line, covered the spot. Exactly what we wanted to do. Much cleaner second half. What'd you think, man?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it at the halftime show. Everybody needed to relax a little bit. We knew it was going to eventually turn. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in that locker room, but that was what we expected to see. The Mountaineers that showed up in the second half are the Mountaineers we expect to see and expect to see all season.
Yeah, you could tell, especially early on in the second half, players, every person that touched the ball, they were wrapping it up with 2 hands. They were definitely not going to be the next player that fumbled. Kind of funny, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, even on White's score, right? You saw Rich Rod pull him aside and show him about covering the ball and the elbows and all that stuff. So I thought it was pretty telling. Obviously, a huge focus on ball control and just not making those kind of mistakes in the second half, and it showed. I mean, they looked clean. It was great to see different players get in. Bowers looked fantastic. I mean, how about Fox in that 59-yard run? It was fun. It's kind of what we expected. We expect to see a lot of different players in the second half, so it was cool.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of bright spots. Let's start with Nico Marchiol. He finished 17 of 20, 224 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. He also ran the ball 13 times for 56 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So I just felt like he was a real rock today, man. It was kind of a tumultuous start, and he just was poised and a real leader today.
Yeah. I mean, he was exactly who we thought he was going to be going into the season, and I thought he played a really clean game and controlled the tempo of the game really well and adjusted really well. And I thought that, again, he just took what the defense gave him. It was great to see that deep ball finally to Vaughn, and it paid off. That was one of the few deep balls I think I saw, and for him to connect on that was great. So, I thought Nico was really solid, and you could tell he was fired up. So it was great to see him under center, getting a true start and becoming the team's leader this year.
Yeah, let's talk Jalen Henderson too, man. I thought he was, he definitely has a burst when he runs. But I know in the text you made a comment that I laughed at. Do you want to share that, man?
Yeah, sure. No, I basically just said that second route where he kind of threw inside on the receiver. That's why he's not the starter right now. I mean, you cannot miss those basic passes. And I thought that was a really bad pass. And I didn't see that out of 20 attempts from Nico today. I didn't see that kind of error. So, if people are looking for more of a reason why Nico is starting above Henderson, you don't have to look further in the second pass of Henderson. And I understand the fact he may have been a little rusty, respect it. But at the end of the day, you're taking reps, you're practicing, and to miss that pass that bad on the inside was a bad pass.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jalen Henderson went 0 of 2, 0 yards, of course, from through the air. And then he had 2 rushes for 40 yards. I thought he looked good. I mean, when he was running it, I thought he looked good. But like you said, you cannot miss those easy passes. Boy, Scotty Fox, man, how excited are you for the future with Scotty Fox? He just looked like he had a different gear than these other guys, and he really was gliding across the field. What was it, a 59-yard touchdown run there at the end? I just thought he looked incredibly impressive.
Yeah, it was like Pat White-esque, right? I mean, we've talked about Jalen Henderson and his athleticism, and I think even the announcers made a comment about like, oh, he's a true athlete, this and that. And then you get Fox in on the next series, and you just see this burst and this different gear, and he's gone 59 yards. I mean, it was very Pat White-esque, where he found that little seam, and he was off the races. It was great to see a West Virginia QB do that again. But I mean, for him to be a freshman do it, it makes me that much more excited.
Yeah. So MVP for the most valuable player today, I went with Nico Marchiol. I just felt like he was very poised and kept us, kept everything level-headed there in the first half when things could have fallen apart. You got Nico too, man?
Yes. Yeah. Nico MVP. I thought White had a solid game too. I'm surprised he didn't have
Very solid.
Big break, I guess you could say, but he probably would have had that more toward the latter part of the game. He got the defense when they were fresh. Not say anything, but I think our offensive line struggled in the beginning. So yeah, I've got to go with Nico, even though White did have a really solid performance as well.
Yep. I thought the defensive line looked outstanding. The offensive line was much, much better in the second half. Wide receivers look good. I was kind of surprised not to see Rodney Gallagher very much. We saw him. He got one jet sweep run for 9 yards, but I don't think he had any targets at all, which was, to me, very surprising.
Agreed. Yeah, and we kind of mentioned that, in the beginning at the halftime show. I really expected him to kind of pop out and be a little bit more of the part of the offense. But, when you look at overall the receivers, as I'm looking through this now and just kind of going through, Cam Vaughn just dominated the day. He had 7 receptions, 127 yards. Grayson Barnes was behind him for 3 receptions, 37. Jaden Bray, who I thought was, very consistent, played well today. Again, three receptions, 26 yards. And then you just kind of look through and you don't even see Gallagher in there because his play was technically a sweep. So, it was definitely shocking, a little disappointing. But, again, I think maybe he'll emerge as we go through the season. So.
Yep. Let's take a look at what some of the fans are saying here. Robert Gurney over on YouTube says a little sloppy, but with 81 new players, I'll take it. I think that's a very, very fair comment. Leo Cole over on YouTube. Howdy, guys. Go Scotty Fox. Slow, ugly first half, but a huge second half. Jason Moore on YouTube. Nico was solid, true leader. Totally agree. And Rush, our guy Rush Bishop said most valuable player, Nico. Most valuable person, Zach Galli. I think that's a great point, Rush, that Zach Galli's defense just looked fantastic, man.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that on numerous shows, right? I think that's going to be the differentiator this season. That strip that Hamilton Russell had and Reed Carrico, I thought they both played solid. You combine that with the fact that we held Robert Morris to 70 passing yards, 53 rushing yards, 123 total yards at 2.1 yards per play.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? Because at the halftime show, I had said like, hey, we gave up 3 really long first downs. Guess what their third downs were the rest of the game? None.
Yeah.
They went 3 for 15. So Ali made the adjustments and, by the second half, you weren't even seeing them move the ball. So they went 3 for 15 total in the game. But again, I think his defense is going to be really good this year. And I just love the schemes. I love how he brings pressure. I love how he, confuses some of the looks. I think they're going to be really, really dangerous and continue to get better as the year goes on. And hopefully Jamori Robinson gets cleared. And I think that's the X factor, right? You throw him into that defensive unit, and it's a completely different animal you got to deal with from our defense.
Jason Moore over on YouTube says, we got yards on punt returns. Didn't know that could even happen. Boy, Preston Fox, man, he may be the number 1 punt returner in the entire nation right now. He just looks the part, man, like he was born to return punts.
Yeah, I mean, that one punt he had where he kind of slid inside after the big return when it was called back on a penalty. I think if he would have stayed outside, he could have taken that to the house. I think he just kind of got turned in. But, man, he looked great today. And I'm so happy he's back on the team. He's always been one of my favorites. So to have him back on the roster is fantastic.
Yeah, I wish he would get more targets at wide receiver. I've never seen him drop a ball. I've never seen him, fail in any way as a wide receiver. So I am curious why he doesn't get more playing time at wide receiver or get more targets.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of that is going to develop as the season goes on, right? Like we have not really. I mean, we have our starters, but I think there's going to be a lot of different plays and schemes that we run where we're going to switch personnel out. So, I think today was kind of like adjusting to the speed of the game. And I think next week at Ohio will be a little more telling. So, look, I have no complaints. I thought everybody played great today, minus the first half with some of those turnovers.
So if you had to give an overall grade for the team today, A through F, what would you give us, man?
I'd give us a B plus.
Okay.
I think B plus is a fair grade. I think, defense, if you're breaking it down between defense, offense, I would give defense an A plus. I would give the offense like a B. And that would average out to a B plus, because I think the offense played great, but they could have played better. And then you factor in all the turnovers and you got to penalize them for that a little bit. Right. So, I think B plus, A minus, somewhere in that range. That's where it's going to go.
Yeah, I said B minus. I just think the turnovers, the four turnovers or 4 fumbles in the first half is against the Robert Morris team. I feel like this is a game we should have won, 70-0 at least. So, I can't imagine. I just can't see myself giving them any more than a B minus. But Bernie, looking ahead, man, what do you think about next week against Ohio? Do you think we'll be favored going into that game? What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think we'll be 20-point favorites, somewhere in there. Ohio just lost to Rutgers. It's just maybe it's an old Big East mentality, but it's Rutgers. I don't care that they're in the Big Ten or whatever. It's still Rutgers, right? Like it doesn't matter. So Rutgers just skidded by Ohio, but they're kind of on the same level. I think we'll be fine. I've said it. I'm not really concerned. I understand the trap game with Pitt coming, but I think Rich Rod, given some of the mistakes that occurred specifically in the first half today, he's gonna have them very well prepared to go in and build on this and not look at it as like we're gonna go in there and kick Ohio's butt, right? Like this could be a challenge, it could be a away game, and there are no slouches. So I think it's going to be a different level of competition. Like I said, I like the tier. You kind of go from like you play this FCS team, then you play Ohio, and then you play Pitt. So I feel pretty good about it. I'm not really concerned. I think we'll come away. We'll win 2-3 touchdowns, and we'll be fine.
I think we're going to be less than a 7-point favorite, man. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 3 to 4 range. Ohio did lose last week earlier in this week to Rutgers, but they were down big and they made a big comeback. I'm concerned about their quarterback, Parker Navarro. He is deadly. I mean, he's a really good runner. He can throw downfield. And so Robert Morris's quarterback wasn't anything close to what Parker Navarro was. So I am concerned about that. I do think we'll end up winning, but I don't think we're going to be favored. Yeah, I think Vegas is going to look at, the way we struggled a little bit in the first half with Robert Morris and think, on the road, it's possible that we could be on upset alert.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I'd be shocked if we were under 10-point underdogs or favorite. I think 10 is going to be the bar. I'd be shocked if we're anything underneath that.
Yep. Jim Dandy on YouTube says, Mountaineer expat now living in Tennessee. Great game, especially the second half. Good to see all of the different guys get to play. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I love that we got to see Scotty Fox, Khalil Wilkins there at the end, and a little bit of Jalen Henderson. I was happy to see that. And we didn't even mention really too much Sincere Bowers, who I think is just a star in the making, man. He's got that different level of speed as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bowers, I think just seeing him run at the end in that fourth quarter, a lot to be excited about with him. I thought he had a really good burst. And again, I mean, the depth on this roster right now is something to be really happy about. All the big skill positions, we're 5 deep at quarterback, and then we have some really great running backs as well. So That's kind of what you need to be successful in the Big 12.
How do we feel about Pitt? I know they had a big win today at home against Duquesne. Do we think that West Virginia goes after what we saw today?
You broke up on that last part. Do we think West Virginia?
Oh yeah. So Pitt beat Duquesne in pretty bad today. How do we feel about the Pitt game, the backyard brawl on in the third week?
Look, I'm still feeling confident about it, right? Like the Pitt teams in the last few years have not been anything that intimidates us, right? Like we should not have lost a single game to Pitt. Those two games that we lost to Pitt, in my opinion, came down purely to Neil Brown's ineptitude. So I'm not beating that dead horse anymore. I said that on X. Like my article that I wrote was kind of Neil Brown's final word, my send off, but those two games we should not have lost. Anybody that looks at those games, rewatches those games, will say the same thing, right? So Rich Rod is not going to be that guy. I feel like we have just as much, if not more talent than the last two times that we've played them, or last four times, whatever. And I don't think Pitt has that much talent. I'm not worried about Pitt. I think anything can happen in a rivalry game, but there's just no reason we shouldn't white Mountaineer Field with them, and hopefully get Beanie Bishop to continue to stomp on their logo as we go through locker rooms.
Yeah, I do think that we'll end up beating Pitt. I think we'll be 3-0. That Kansas game the following week after that, though, man, that's going to be a different story. Bernie, anything else before we bounce, buddy? Great first win. I'm glad that it's over. Ready to take on Ohio next week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there was so much hype and excitement about this game. It was kind of like Kid on Christmas. You and I talked this morning, like just seeing Rich Rod, and it's so funny, him doing his first Mountaineer man walk. And he's got to just walk in there and just be like, wow, this is what I wanted in 2007. If I would have had this, I would have stayed, right? Like all the things he wanted, we've changed for the better. And it's great to just have him back and have some of the former players back. It feels like the whole culture and mindset has shifted. Selling out season ticket allotment, that's huge. That takes a huge burden off of our operational budget, our NIL budget. You can tell there's a different excitement and buzz around the program. And I think, look, there's going to be ups and downs this year. I don't want to go and say that we're not going to be disappointed at some point, but the vibe has changed. The swagger is back, and Mountaineer football is back. So I'm excited for a season.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what the atmosphere is going to be like in Morgantown, September 13th, in the backyard brawl. It's going to be wild, especially if you get College game days there. We take care of business next week. I think we've got College game day. I saw some receipts, man. I saw some stuff, and it looks like it's pretty much a lock that game day is coming, especially if we win next week. So,
didn't you tell me there are some other big games that week? I haven't really.
There are some big games, but right. I don't remember the exact games, but it's Georgia. I think it's Georgia and Tennessee, something like that. There's a few of those, really good SEC games. But again, I think with Pat McAfee's influence, I think that, this is the last time the backyard brawl is going to be played in a while. So I think we're going to get College game day.
Yeah, I mean, that's so disappointing. I know I talked about it on that Breaking Bernie episode I did, but man, to have the Alabama series fall through and then not capitalize by putting Pitt on the schedule or even Marshall, we needed something a little more marquee when we lose something like Alabama. It's definitely disappointing to see Coastal Carolina and, Southern Miss get put on there. So I don't know, man. It's a shame that we're getting away from that rivalry again, because I've seen a lot of people like post on X like, oh, we should play these guys every year, Syracuse, Miami. I'm like, I don't even care about them anymore. It's VTech I care about, Pitt I care about. I don't really feel like we have any other rivalries because we've been in the Big 12 for 14 years, so it's tough.
I'm sure there was some logic that Bryn Baker had in picking Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina. Honestly, I don't care. I would much rather whatever logic he had. I think playing Marshall and Pitt. overrides, I just feel like it would be worth it. Even if we lose a little bit of money, I still feel like Marshall and Pitt those are the games we should be playing.
Yeah. I mean, not so much Marshall for me. We've talked about that at length, but Pitt, would have been great if we could have got that back on the schedule, or even VTech if they had an opening. That would have been fun. Or Maryland, I always enjoy that rivalry as well. But there's just nothing exciting about replacing Alabama home and home with those two games, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Guys, big 45-3 victory for the Mountaineers and Rich Rodriguez's return. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's go Mountaineers.
To Morgantown, we break it first. WVU pride. We quench your thirst, no spin, all truth, loud and proud. Mountaineer nation, say it loud. The voice.